Hi everyone, welcome to the webinar. Let's wait a while more till everyone joins and we'll get started at about 3:01. Hi everyone, we'll get started in about a minute or two. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down in the Q&A chat. Okay, I think we can get started first. Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today. Welcome to Introduction to Amazon Brand Registry and Basics of Singapore Trademark. I am Ethan, Account Manager at Amazon Global Selling, covering our North American marketplaces. Together with me in this session, we have Francine from Francine Tan Law Corporation, who will be sharing with you the basics of Singapore Trademark. So before we get into the details, do take note that this session will be recorded. We will be sending you a follow-up email after this webinar with the recording link so that you'll be able to watch the session again on demand. And if you have any questions, feel free to just drop them down in the Q&A box or chat box, and our colleagues, Abel, Reen, and Jess, will assist to answer it throughout this entire session. Okay, so for today's agenda, firstly, I'll be going through introduction to Amazon Brand Registry. Why should we build a brand? Brand Registry tools and benefits, and how you can enroll into Amazon Brand Registry. So after that, I'll be passing on my time to Francine, who will be going through the basics of Singapore Trademark. And lastly, we'll move on to the Q&A section. So this is where we'll answer your burning questions that you have along this webinar. So let's get started. Why should we build a brand? So one of the survey that we have done found that 50% of overseas consumers like to choose familiar brands when spending. Branded products are quickly remembered by consumers, which also helps to build your brand loyalty and also results in repeat purchases. Also, another research have also shown that 80% of customers likes to discover new brands and products on Amazon, where 50% of US consumers have been more than willing to discover new brands than before the pandemic. And also on Amazon, sales volume grow faster for brand owners and consumers trust new brands more on Amazon. So this allows brand owners to receive more orders and also helps you to increase your brand and product awareness amongst customers. And the reason why, we will explain it in subsequent slides. Yeah, and also in an internal study, to be more concrete, we actually found that brand owners increase sales 1.5 times faster than other sellers on average. So from my experience, sellers that began their journey with trademark registration and brand registry were able to grow much faster than sellers without brand registry. Yeah. So after understanding the importance of brand building, let me just introduce to you Amazon Brand Registry and the benefits it can bring to brand owners. So Amazon strives to be the Earth's most customer-centric company where people can find and discover virtually anything they want to buy online. So as a customer-focused company, we want to work hard to maintain our customer trust, and that includes making sure our customers know that when they shop on Amazon, they are choosing from authentic and safe products only. So we treat our sellers like customers too, and we want you to know that we are working to protect you, your business, as well as your intellectual property. We have worked hard to create your brand, so protect your identity on Amazon and as a seller with Amazon Brand Registry and let us help you ensure accurate representation of your brand. So our brand registry program is launched in 2017, and it offers access to a powerful set of tools that helps brands to accurately represent your product, detect and report violations, and proactively prevent violations. So Amazon actually invests tremendously into this program, and we are constantly innovating and improving the ways we detect and prevent counterfeit products from reaching our customers. So when is the best time to enroll into Amazon Brand Registry? We highly recommend sellers to adopt Brand Registry even before getting started with your listing process, meaning you will need to secure your trademark, be it US or SG trademark, even before you start listing. This is because brand name is a listing attribute that is hard to change. And also your brand name must be permanently affixed onto your product and or packaging in order to enroll into brand registry and be able to list under your brand name. Also, if you wish to change your brand name in the future, you might have to release your product, which might affect your sales ranking, or you might have to raise multiple cases with seller partner support to attempt to change the attribute in existing listings. So we'll highly recommend it to do it before listings. So after understanding the importance of building a brand and the best time to register with Amazon Brand Registry, I would like to introduce to you the 3 key pillars of which Amazon can help you to build, grow, and protect your brand. So these are exclusive brand owner tools and programs that you can leverage on to gain an edge over average sellers and your competitors, which I'll be going through in subsequent slides. So this is a summary of brand building features you can leverage on to help optimize your listings to help you drive greater sales conversion for your products. So firstly, A+ content. You know, when each page on Amazon has like a similar feel, so how can you stand out? So this A+ content is actually a tool exclusively to registered brand owners. A+ content is additional rich text and image content that is available at the bottom section of your product detail page. So as you can see on the screen, the example. So A+ content actually gives you more control over your detail page and the ability to add content to enhance your customer experience. So this helps customers make more informed choices when they decide to purchase your product. And also it helps to maintain the basic tenets of customer experience. So here are some of the benefits of A+ content. Firstly, it includes sales uplift. Studies have shown that increased traffic and conversion that comes with adding high quality A+ can drive a sale increase of more than 5% in the first year. Secondly, it can help you reduce customer returns and negative reviews. So this is a topic that comes up quite often. How can I avoid customer returns and negative reviews? So by providing more specific information about your product, by creating A+ content, it can help customers make a more informed purchase decision, which can in return help you have lesser returns and also negative customer reviews. And also lastly, it helps you encourage repeat purchases. A+ content can help you share your brand story and information about your products that can help you develop brand loyalty. So next, over here, studies have also shown that product reviews can help to increase sales by up to 3.5 times. And this is where the Vine program actually come into place to help sellers like yourself gather more reviews for your product listing page and to drive sales conversion. So what is Vine program? This is actually an Amazon reviewer program where we invite our most trusted reviewers on Amazon to help you post opinions about new products and to help customers or sellers like yourself make more informed decisions. Vine reviewers are by invite only and are selected based on the insightfulness of the reviews they have published on their past Amazon purchases. So don't be worried. And participating sellers can provide free units of their products in order for this selected group of Vine voices to post customer reviews for the products that you actually submit. Vine program helps sellers build awareness of your product, help you to boost sales of slower and new product. It can also help customers make more informed decisions about new products that you actually offer. Currently, Vine enrollment fee is $200 for each enrolled parent ASIN starting October 12, 2021. The enrollment fee will be displayed upon enrollment in Seller Central, so don't be worried. The fee will be charged once per parent ASIN, 7 days after the publication date of your first Vine review for that product. So don't worry if you can't capture all this. We'll be sending a follow-up email with the recording link as well as all the resources that we have. So again, why are reviews so important? Product reviews can help guide customers to make a sales decision. Good reviews can help you improve conversion, which can lead to sales. It's also relatively more cost effective compared to other methods like providing heavy discounts on new products as well as social media advertising. So Vine can help you maximize the impact of your early advertising and merchandising activities. Reviews can also provide customers with more confidence in your product. So all in all, positive reviews can help you increase your sales conversion greatly in the long run. And next up, we have brand customer reviews. This is a new feature that is launched late last year. This is currently still rolling out gradually to all sellers and only applicable for Amazon.com store currently. So brand owners can now respond to 1 to 3 star product reviews with several templatized emails sent directly to customer to help you improve customer experience, such as providing additional product support or a refund. So this post-order experience creates a better shopping experience on Amazon and empowers brands to deepen their customer relationship and differentiate themselves by providing a superior level of post-order support. And next, we have stores. This is a free self-service branded destination on Amazon where sellers can create content that inspires, educates, and helps shoppers discover your brand product selection. So you'll be able to promote your brand and product within your own multi-page storefront experience on Amazon for free. So stores can help build brand awareness on Amazon. You can also design your store with no coding knowledge and get a unique Amazon.com web address for your brand. So don't worry, there are ready starter templates on Seller Central that can help you kickstart your store creation quickly. We have product grids that allow you to display large number of products. We have Marquee, where you can create brand or sub-brand experience with your product category or lines. And we have product highlight that showcases a flagship product or product line. And lastly, a blank template that allows you to create your own layout by moving, adding, or deleting content. So blank template is really useful for sellers that have an idea on what kind of customer journey and experience you'd like to custom create for your brand store. And next, this is the summary of some of the growth feature you can leverage on to help you drive greater traffic and sales conversion to your product listing page and stores. So firstly, we have brand analytics. This is a feature that contains valuable insights to empower brand owners to make informed strategic decisions about your product portfolio and marketing or advertising activities. So as you can see over here, there are 6 reports available, which can provide you greater insights on your product competitiveness, customer profile and behavior, and keywords that can help you generate more sales and traffic diagnostic and your advertising strategies. And next, brand registered sellers have access to way more advertising tools that allows you to gain greater visibility across Amazon sites and even off Amazon sites. As such, brand owners are able to drive greater traffic compared to average sellers that do not have a trademark or enroll into brand registry. So as you can see on the slide, all sellers with a professional selling account have access to sponsored products, whereas brand owners have access to additional 3 more advertising tools, which I'll be explaining how they work in subsequent slides. So firstly, sponsored brands. This is actually ads that feature your brand logo, a custom headline, and up to 3 of your products. Sponsored brands campaign can help customers discover and engage with your brand in prominent search placements and help generate awareness and consideration with customizable ads that links directly to a landing page or a store. So these ads appear on search results and help generate awareness and recognition for your brand and product portfolio and helps direct customer to the page that you wish to drive them to. You also have the flexibility to control costs with CPC ads. So this is an example of how a sponsored brand creative looks like. It's typically like how you see over here, it includes your brand logo, a catchy title, call to action to your brand page, followed by 3 featured asins that leads to your asin detail page. And here are some of the placements shown in mobile view and desktop view. You may find your brand or asin featured at the top of search, bottom of search, or even the left side of search on Amazon.com. And secondly, we have sponsored brands video. This is a video ad format that helps you stand out in desktop and mobile shopping result for customers to discover your brands and products. You will show up in between a page search on your product detail page and engage customers with your brand. And lastly, we have sponsored display. So sponsored display is a self-service display advertising solution that helps you grow your business and brand on Amazon by engaging shoppers across the purchase journey on and off Amazon.com. So this makes it easy for shoppers to discover your product for the first time or to reconsider your product for purchase. So the goal of sponsored display ads is to inspire these shoppers to return to Amazon and to make a purchase from your brand. With sponsored display, you can quickly create campaigns that will appear on desktop, mobile websites, or even apps of Amazon. So after adding products to your campaign, sponsored display will automatically generate your ad creative, dynamically promoting the most relevant product with the highest expected chance of conversion. As mentioned, with sponsored display, you can reach audiences on and off Amazon who have viewed the detail page of your products or similar products on Amazon in the past 30 days that have not purchased your advertised product. So you can even target similar or complementary product and categories with ads that appear on relevant product detail pages on Amazon. And lastly, the last category, to protect brands, we have developed powerful tools within Brand Registry, which I'll be going through subsequent slides. So at Amazon, we offer a variety of advanced machine learning capabilities that focus on being proactive and stopping bad actor even before they can ever get a product up for sale, either because we detect something risky about them or detect a relationship or even both. So this machine learning approach has many different benefits, which includes being able to handle the scale of attempted abuse and also to detect patterns and behaviors that are not obvious to humans. So additionally, we also use hundreds and sometimes thousands of different behavioral signals, which we consider someone's devices, their IP address, and what they're trying to sell, how they behave, and even more. So we combine all of this to do risk evaluation, which allows us to take action, sometimes automated action based on human expertise, ranging from passing to stopping a listing or shutting down an account and all related accounts. We also get a signal from reported abuse, notices of infringements, customer complaints that can also feed our risk evaluation. Finally, this is a learning system, so we watch the actions we take, including what we find that were illogical, and these feedback into our system and keep getting smarter. So our team and our technology work hand in hand to provide a better selling experience for our brand owners. So continuing the notion of being proactive, we created a set of automated brand protection. So this improves our machine learning approach by using unique data, brand by brand, that allows us to automatically create custom rules and logic per brand. So this has enabled us to get to a point where for every one notice of infringement that a brand has to tell us about, there were more than 500 suspected listings that we proactively removed even before you had to tell us. So some of the type of brand data that we use to power this automated brand protection are categories, manufacturing, images, and even text. But however, machine learning does not catch everything. So Amazon has a tool that allows you to flag concerns. It's a report a violation tool, or in short, RAV. So report a violation simplifies the process of finding and reporting potential infringements in our store. You can search by text or by image to find and identify asins, offers, and images. You can search globally for content in different Amazon stores from the same screen without ever having to navigate away. Also, you can search in bulk to explore and report potentially infringing content faster, and even filter based on key product attributes like price or even ratings. So thereafter, you can proceed to view your submission history, which can provide you a log of reports submitted and also their status. So previously, brands were only able to see your mark name, number, and type in the drop-down. Now the enhancement allows brands to see additional information about your marks, such as thumbnail version of images that you have uploaded onto brand registry for your design marks, and the corresponding trademark officers that the mark is registered with. So thereafter, just select the brand you wish to report on the right from the drop-down to start the process. And the submission history, like I mentioned, provides a log of reports you have submitted via the report violation tool, and you can check on the status with details such as complaint ID, reported ASIN, and infringement types. And next, we have transparency, which is a product serialization service that help you identify individual units and proactively we prevent counterfeits from reaching customers. So when you enroll into transparency, Amazon scans your product to ensure that only authentic units are shipped to customers, whether fulfilled by Amazon or shipped directly by selling partners. Amazon scans each individual transparency enabled code to ensure that only authentic products are being shipped. So customers can authenticate any transparency-enabled product regardless of where they purchased it. The transparency app for iOS or Android lets customers scan transparency code on the product. So upon scanning, the app will show a green check mark if the code is valid and a red X if it's not. You can also provide customers with unit level product details, which includes like your manufacturing date, your manufacturing place, as well as enhanced product information. And lastly, let me move back. Okay, we have Project Zero. This program aims to leverage the combined strength of Amazon and brands to drive counterfeits to zero. So besides automated protection and product serialization, brand owners no longer have to contact Amazon to remove counterfeit listing from our stores. Instead, you'll have the unprecedented ability to do so yourself using our new self-service tool. We also use this data to strengthen our automatic protections to better catch potential counterfeit listing proactively in the future. However, to receive this autonomy, you must first be brand registered with Amazon Brand Registry and have submitted reports of potential infringements with acceptance rate of at least 90% in the last 6 months. So all in all, we do have over 500,000 brands that are currently successfully enrolled with Amazon Brand Registry and benefited from all the exclusive brand building and protection too. And here's how you can be a part of it. So Amazon Brand Registry currently accepts trademark from the following countries. If you have a US or non-US trademark, for instance, like SG trademark, that meets the eligibility criteria, you can start enrolling into Amazon Brand Registry. So for a start, you may get started with selling on Amazon with an SG trademark because it is less costly compared to a US trademark. However, just take note that if you have a non-US trademark, you'll only be able to gain access to features under the Build and Grow category. Thereafter, in the long run, you may consider to register and invest in a US trademark once your sales have accelerated so that you'll be able to protect your brand and sales in US in the long run. And lastly, we accept text-based and image-based marks. Depending on where your trademark is registered, eligible trademarks can have different classification based on the issuing office. So do review the eligibility requirements by country by scanning the QR code at the top right corner. Don't worry if you can't catch that right now. We'll be sending you over the link in the follow-up email as well. So if you already have a registered or pending trademark, start enrolling into Amazon Brand Registry. You can simply sign in with your existing Seller Central credentials to ensure that your selling account is linked and you are able to gain access to brand registry features and benefits much quicker. Okay, so with that, I've come to the end of my presentation on Amazon Brand Registry. So maybe now let me pass on my time to Francine, who will be going through the basics of Singapore trademark.
Thank you, Yichen.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me fine? And my slides, share screen. Just give me a second, sorry. Yep. Can you all see the slides? Okay. Okay. Thank you for that was really actually very interesting because it's my first time really hearing all these details. And thank you. My name is Francine. I'm an IP lawyer in Singapore, and I've been doing this for like really long time, about 30 years. And I'm really happy to share this platform with Amazon Singapore to explain some basics about Singapore trademark registration process and what you need to think about when you want to think about branding for yourself. There'll be time at the end for questions. So let's begin. Oh, it's not responding.
Yeah. Are you able to click the down button?
No, it's not responding. So sorry, there's something wrong with my laptop. Would you be able to take control of this and I'll...
Yeah, sure. Are you able to send over this PDF? Then we'll share our screen for you. Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No worries.
I don't know what's... Let me new share. Let me try this one, maybe this. This is terrible.
Yeah, while we work on the technicalities, maybe those people that have questions, feel free to just drop them down and we'll answer it.
It was working just now. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm going to do this manually. If you don't mind, I apologize. Is this fine? Can you see?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so what we're going to talk about is why protect your brand and benefits and the important requirements. And okay, so first things first, a very common question I get is, do I have to register a mark to get protection? Theoretically, strictly speaking, no, but there are great benefits in getting your mark registered. And it's important to have branding like what Yi-Chen shared, because it all relates to building loyalty, customer loyalty, and brands are very powerful as an intangible tool to build that emotional connection with your customer base. And consumer purchasing decisions are very much influenced by branding, as I'm sure many of you understand. And it's a very strong intangible value. And so going on to first thing about registered marks. So in Singapore, the basis for protection of trademarks is the Singapore Trademarks Act. And protection arises from the moment you get your mark registered. And there are various kinds of trademarks that you can register. So like Yi-Chen said, you can have a word mark and a logo mark, but there are also other things like monograms and different types. And I will show you some of these later on. And the other thing is that it's really great to have a mark registered because you got a monopoly and to stop other people from using the same or similar mark for same kind of goods. And this serves to distinguish your products from other people. When you file a trademark application, you have to specify the kind of goods or services. But of course, in the context of Amazon, you're talking about goods. So like if you are registering for clothing, you would file it in a certain class and you have to indicate the range of goods like clothing, footwear, headgear. If you're selling software, it would be in a different class under the classification which applies to trademark applications. And for this, we can advise you on the appropriate classification. So once you have your mark registered, the IP Office of Singapore, which is IPOS, it's the body in Singapore that processes trademark applications and approves and regulates the whole procedure. They will examine your trademark application. And once your mark is accepted and registered, it's valid for 10 years. But after 10 years, you can continue to renew for further 10 years. So it's a great form of IP protection, and it's effectively perpetual as long as you renew it. And after you register your mark, you can use the R symbol. That's also a very common question. Can I use the R symbol? Do take note that you can only use the R symbol after the mark is registered. If you use it before the mark is registered, theoretically it's an offense under the Trademarks Act and you can be fined. So bear that in mind. It's not a requirement to use R or TM But if you want to use the R only after your mark is registered. So going on to unregistered marks. So what happens if you don't register your mark? Well, firstly, you don't get the benefit of the Amazon brand registry thing, all the tools and the suite of tools that you get. But the difficulty is this: unregistered marks do get protection in the sense that it doesn't arise from legislation, but it arises through use. So if you can show that your mark has been used for many years, your business reputation associated with that mark or trade brand, then you can show that you have justification to go against someone who's what we call passing off, like making themselves seem like it's your goods. And that is a more complicated process, which is why it's really highly recommended that you register your trademark, because once you register it, even if you have never used it before, you can use that as a basis to stop a counterfeit or to report a violation of a registered mark. The other thing is, one thing to note, also marks can be, even if they are not registered in Singapore, if the owner can show that their mark is very well known in Singapore, they can get an injunction so to stop the use. So do bear in mind that if you do use a mark and you find that it's not registered in Singapore, but actually it's quite well known, maybe from another country, you know, that brand owner may choose to get an injunction against your use. So just bear that in mind. So benefits of registration, going on to this, like I mentioned, this table basically mentions some of the things which I've talked about. And so rights occur upon registration, and you know, your trademark is presumed to be valid, whereas for unregistered marks, you have to prove that you have reputation, business goodwill. So it's more complicated. And then the other thing is that when you deal with counterfeit products, there's something called statutory damages. So for unregistered marks, you have to show that the third party's use of a similar brand is likely to cause damage, and you have to actually quantify damages. Whereas under the Trademarks Act, you get benefit of statutory damages. That means it's already predetermined and you don't have to prove damage and do a calculation. The other thing is also border enforcement measures are available under the legislation. So if you're aware of some counterfeits coming into Singapore, you can actually file a complaint with the customs. You have to actually indicate when the expected shipping is coming in and shipment is coming in or being exported out. And sometimes the Singapore customs also on their own initiative on an ex officio basis, if they suspect that some products are counterfeit or could be, they will actually like temporarily detain it and inform the brand owner and see if they want to take any action. So that's the other benefit. And the other thing too is that even before you start your business, do think about filing your trademark application, because once getting a filing date in early, it has proven to be very useful, because there were times where someone hesitated in filing the application for a mark, and like 1 month later, you know, they found that someone else had already applied for a very similar mark, and then the IP office raised that earlier mark as an objection, and then it blocks your application. And then it can be overcome, but it's just a bit more painful process. So once you're confident about your brand, you know, what you want to adopt, do not delay. I know sometimes people, they think it's not so important, but sometimes when someone else kind of files a similar mark, then it becomes a real headache, and you don't want to have to deal with that. And also the other benefit is that there are criminal sanctions if someone does counterfeit. So there are a lot of deterrent benefits for registration. And
hi, Francine. Sorry to disturb your presentation. Actually, I can help to share your slides in full screen if you don't mind. Yeah. Okay, give me 1 second.
Thank you.
Right.
Can move on to the to the next slide. Thank you. Yeah, so prerequisites and next slide. So what do you have to prepare for? So firstly, there are three things. It has to be a sign. So a sign could be, okay, I'll explain. It has to be a sign. Your trademark has to be distinctive. And thirdly, it must not conflict with an earlier mark, which is kind of what I talked about earlier about someone else filing something else that's similar or the same before you do that. Next slide, thank you. So a sign is basically defined as anything that can be represented graphically and is capable of distinguishing your goods from those of other people. So what does this really mean? Next slide. So there are many types of trademarks so you have like plain word marks like Coke or Coca-Cola, which is stylized, and then you have symbols like the M. You can have color marks like the 7-Eleven color logo, and these are more conventional. Well, the conventional ones are the logos and words. The unconventional ones would be more like colors, and also like the Christian Louboutin shoes, the red sole that is protected as a trademark. And then you have movement marks, like you see the Nokia movement of the hands. And there are also sound marks like the Ricola, and you can play that sound for me. If you just press the next slide, the sound will pop up. Just press the next slide. Oh, it didn't come up. Sorry, there's a Ricola, the sound mark. So sound marks can be registered, like even piano notes, but I guess these are not so relevant in the context of Amazon. And there are other things called collective marks and certification marks, which I won't talk about for the purposes of today's presentation. But it's just to give you an idea that marks can be a variety of things. Next slide. So second requirement, so you have a sign, and then the next thing you have to think about, is my mark distinctive? So there's a spectrum of distinctiveness. So basically, we want as much as possible to avoid descriptive marks because they are very hard to get registered, just like this. So on the low end is what we call like generic marks. So like kopitiam, which is in local language, in Malaysia, Singaporeans should know kopitiam. Basically, it means coffee shop. And kopitiam was found to be non-distinctive and not acceptable for registration, because if you just look at the word on its own, you won't immediately recognize it to be a trademark. So the IP office would not accept this. So of course, in Singapore now, we recognize the kopitiam brand, but that's because it's been used for a while, and that's different. But if you have a brand new mark, really avoid things that are very broad, like will be perceived as a description for your product. Then the second higher one would be this also descriptive, like love for jewelry, anything that that relates to your goods. So another example would be like quick delivery for courier services. These are very not encouraged, very descriptive. It just describes the nature of your goods or services. And then next level up would be suggestive marks. These can be registered, but maybe with some appeal to the IP office, because they may reject it at first, but we can assist clients to file arguments and to get it over that threshold where the IP office agrees, okay, fine, I think, yes, it can be distinctive of your goods. And even though it kind of indirectly or subtly relates to your goods or services, we will accept it. And then the better ones would be the arbitrary and fanciful marks. So arbitrary are like existing words like Apple, as you all know, for computers, because it's totally unrelated to computers. So it's a very distinctive mark. Something like that would be great for registration. And finally, the best would be to come up with a totally invented word. And Google is an example. So another example of an arbitrary word is like Reebok, as you all know, but Reebok is actually derived from the name of an antelope from Africa. And so it's a known word, but it's totally unrelated to shoes, so it's fine. So next slide. So what's a descriptive mark? Just to go on again a little bit. So to give you an idea. So, avoid things like very obvious yellow for bananas you're selling, soapy, something relating to for soap. These are clear, like stick them, don't even think about these, avoid these because you're creating problems for yourself and people won't see that that's a brand. You want something that really grabs customers and then they see and they know, okay, that's a trade source. And so I think I can skip some of this because it's a repetition of what I've talked about. Next slide. So the other thing, third thing to bear in mind, so you have the sign, the mark has to be distinctive, or sign has to be distinctive. And thirdly, it must not conflict with an earlier mark. So if you file an application for a mark and the IP office examiner sees that, hey, your mark is identical to an earlier mark that's identical, covering identical goods, covering exactly the same, they will outright reject it. And the chances of getting it overcome, it's very difficult unless you can get consent from the other party, or unless you can show that you've been using the brand, your own brand, for at least 5 years. And that's not always easy when you're starting with a new brand. Also, if your mark is identical, even though the goods are not identical but similar, also the IP office will reject it if in their view, it will likely cause confusion in the marketplace. And the third one is where the mark and the goods are similar and the IP office thinks that there's a likelihood of confusion, your application is likely to be refused. But again, I want to highlight the fact that it doesn't mean that the moment you get what we call a rejection or an office action from the IP office, oh, that's the end of it, you can't get it registered. We do file arguments and we are able, in most cases, in fact, to overcome, unless it's like really, you're really talking about identical and identical, or very, very little differences. There are always chances to try and ways to deal with how to overcome these objections. So it doesn't mean that you should give up from the start. So one thing also you can think about to do before deciding on the brand that you want to use is to do a trademark search to see if there are any earlier marks that may potentially cause problems for you. And if so, you may want to tweak or modify your mark. And we also can help with trademark searches, or you can do it yourself as you wish. But of course, you may not understand some of the nuances and the practices of the IP office, and whether, even if in your mind, you don't think, in your view, you look at the earlier marks and you think, oh, I don't think it's going to be a problem. But because the IP office may have a different view, and every country's IP offices have different perceptions and practices of what they would accept or not accept because of an earlier mark. So it's advisable sometimes, to get a legal advice, and that's just practical. And I'm not trying to coach. To get work here. It's just being realistic, because legally speaking, what is confusingly similar may not be what you think is confusingly similar. So the next slide. Oops. No. And then there's one here. Okay. So I have given 2 examples here. Let me just check on time. Okay. So there was this recherche mark and a biologic recherche mark. So it was a case that came up, and basically at the end of the day, it's whether the IP office thinks it's confusingly similar, it's really up to the examiner or the registrar's view of this. And basically, recherche was applied for goods and services for skincare products, cosmetics and beauty salons. Biologic recherche was the owners of biologic recherche got upset when they saw that, and they filed an opposition because their mark was registered for soaps and cosmetics. And the IP office took the view that yes, the marks were similar, the services and goods were similar, and they held that this recherche mark could not be registered because they took the view that consumers looking at this may think that there's some economic link between or association between the owners of both brands. So that was one rejection. The other was for Gucci Tech, innovation, safe space, and Gucci. So Gucci, naturally, when they saw Gucci Tech, being applied for, they filed an opposition, they were upset, and they based their opposition on the fact that they had an earlier registration, not for handbags and all that, but on the basis that they had a registration for retail services for cutlery and like pots and pans, whereas Gucci tag was applied for like for ovens, grilling, cooking ware. And Gucci succeeded in getting the mark removed because not allowing to be registered because again, the IP office said that even though there are differences, there was a strong likelihood of confusion because people might think that somehow Gucci tag is associated, is maybe a new arm of Gucci, and therefore it was rejected and the opposition was successful. So I think that's the end, and then that's the IP Accelerator. So I just wanted to leave more time for questions because I'm sure many of you have some questions which are not dealt with in the slides, but I just want to just summarize again. So when you select your brand, really think about, look into what marks are out there in the market already, conduct searches, either do it yourself or engage a lawyer to help you, and then think about whether your mark is going to encounter problems in terms of distinctiveness, and whether it is a well-known mark out there, maybe in big markets, that even though they have not come here, and if you start using it, it may create problems for yourself. So you want to have a problem-free space to operate as much as possible. So when you think about all these things, do have that in mind. And of course, there's the IP Accelerator, and basically, if you use this program is introduced by Amazon and in a number of countries, and in Singapore it was launched in August last year. And basically, typically in the past you have to register your mark before you can get onto the brand registry. But if you file applications through one of the curated law firms in Singapore, so there are like 4 or 5 law firms in Singapore that have been selected, and there's been already vetting. They trust our professionalism and all that. And so these are trusted law firms that you can approach. And my firm is one of these firms. And we are not associated with Amazon, so we're not, there's no conflict. But basically, we're there to assist clients. And if you file the applications through the IP Accelerator, and there are pre-negotiated discounted fees for this, you get onto and once you get your trademark application number, you can enroll. You don't have to wait till your mark is registered. So it speeds up the process. So it's advantages, and you can get, all the benefits which Yi-Chen talked about earlier. So that's basically it. I think the visual is simple enough to understand. And thank you for listening, and I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, maybe let me just take over the screen again. Okay, so before we move on to the Q&A section, so let me just direct your attention to the slide you can see over here. So firstly, please share your feedback regarding this webinar through the short survey over here. Just scan the QR code, let us know what you like to see and what other content you like to see as well, so that we can improve in the future. Secondly, do follow us on Facebook if you haven't already done so that you'll be able to receive tips and advices on selling on Amazon.com. And lastly, if you are keen to get a SG trademark, please scan the QR code over here to connect with Francine to learn more about that and how you can do so with maybe IP Accelerator. So maybe now let me just quickly move on to the Q&A. So I've written down some of the common ones that are being asked. Okay, so firstly, let me just get all the questions regarding SG trademark answered first. So someone is asking, if we create a trademark with IPOS Singapore, are we able to extend it to US trademark? So let's say, I think the person is asking, if I have a SG trademark first, next time if I want to be protected in the US, can it be extended or something?
No, I mean, okay, you can't extend, there's no extension. Trademark protection is territorial in nature. So if you want your trademark protected in Singapore, you register here. If you want it protected in the US, you have to file a corresponding application in the US. and they have different examination practices as well. And the fact that you got it registered in Singapore doesn't mean anything. I mean, you can base it on the Singapore application, you can make reference to it, but ultimately examination standards in the US will apply, and you have to, there are requirements to prove that you're actually using in the US. You can't just sit on the trademark in the US, because especially the US, they're very strict in requiring that you show that you're actually using on the goods that you say you're using it on. Whereas in Singapore, they don't monitor it, whereas the US PTO, the Patent and Trademark Office, they are very strict on that. So you have to separately file in the US. And of course, like you want to protect your mark in Malaysia, you have to file it there as well, because you can't use a Singapore mark to say, hey, I've got a Singapore trademark registration and therefore I need protection in Malaysia. It doesn't work that way. It has to be separately protected.
Yeah, maybe also to summarize, basically, if you have a Singapore trademark, you can register in Amazon Brand Registry, but just take note that you won't be protected in the US unless you get a US trademark. So let's say in the future, if you wish to get a US trademark, you find that it's worth investing in, then you can reach out to IP Accelerator in the US to reach out to a US law firm to get it registered as well. Okay, so maybe we move on to the next question. What is the estimated cost incurred for registering a trademark? Is like all the fees included?
Okay, so the negotiated fee, I mean, that's agreed, is that for filing one trademark application in one class is 490 Singapore dollars. That excludes the official fee of the IP office. So for the IP office fees currently, and before 29 April of this year, currently the fees are $341. It's going to be increased to $380, and that is per class. And when I talk about the class, it means it relates to something called the NICE classification. NICE is spelled as N-I-C-E, which is derived from the French name, a French city in France. So if you look at the NICE classification or NICE classification, you'll see there are like 45 classes of goods and services. So when per class is 341. So for the example I gave for like clothing was class 25, computers class 9. So that means if you are only looking to protect your mark in one class, then you're looking at $341 currently, which will increase to $380, and our professional fees, which is not more than $490. So that's it. And assuming there is no objections, if there are objections by the IP office or opposition by someone else, then there'll be additional charges. But assuming, beginning to end, it's all quiet, great, your mark's registered, that's what you're looking at. So it's not more than $1,000, essentially, just very simplistically speaking.
Yeah. Also on that note, right, I wanted to check, like, is your law firm able to help them check whether this trademark will have like, higher rate of approval? You help them check that this is not a confusing trademark before even they apply, so we reduce chances of rejection.
Yes, we can. And again, Amazon negotiated these like what we call knockout searches, where we conduct, I can't remember the rate, but it's like 100 something or 200 at most. Basically, we help per class. So we help you check if there's any like clear obstacles, very, very blatant one. We can do that as well before we file for you. It's advisable to do that. And then,
Yeah. So I think all in all, let's say if someone wish to get a Singapore trademark, including one trademark with like the IP office fees for one classification as well as knockout searches, it will be about 900 or so, slightly below 1K, about there.
341, yeah.
490 plus 349 and
plus
another 100.
200.
Yeah, correct.
So that's about.
Yeah. So if anybody is interested, can just reach out directly to Francine. She can quote you accordingly based on the number of classes you want to apply for to be more accurate. Yeah, so talking about the classes, I think you pretty much answered one of the questions that someone have also. So if you wish to have a trademark that is used for a range of categories, so you'll need to apply for the relevant classes. And someone also asked, can other people apply the same trademark in other class?
Yeah, it can happen. And then what happens, because the IP office, for example, you apply to register ABC, brand for clothing, right? It's only class 25. And then someone else did ABC for watches, which is in class 14. The IP office will not actually look into other classes. They only look at earlier marks within that class. So it can happen that there will be similar marks, the same mark in different classes. So what happens is some people too, because they're very concerned about this, they will actually check. They do searches, or they have third-party sources to do these what we call watching services, basically to watch out for people who like like copy your brand. Maybe it could be pure coincidence, and that's fine, but there are people who actually copy your brand, and then they're very sneaky. They see that, oh, you've got it for clothing, but you didn't protect for watches and spectacles in class 9. So they file the same thing in other classes. Of course, if that happens and you come to know of it, there are procedures called invalidation or opposition to deal with these, and to show that these applicants these applications were made in bad faith, and they should be stopped. Yeah, so there are ways to deal with it.
Okay, I think that's very clear. So maybe in the interest of time, let me just move on to the next question as well. I have seen very generic words that are being trademarked, for instance, beeswax. Does it mean I cannot mention beeswax at all, as this violates other people's trademark?
If it's really generic, it is quite unlikely that it would have been registered as a matter of because the IP office found that it was inherently distinctive. Firstly, it could have been a stylized mark, or there was a logo, or secondly, it could have been registered because they've been using it for a number of years, and they showed that the mark has what we call acquired distinctiveness. So yes, even if it's a borderline mark and you know it's a registered mark, you cannot use that brand as a trademark. But if you're using it in normal description for your product, my product is ABC brand beeswax, you're not using it in a trademark manner, it's fine. It's just like, yeah, yeah, so you have to distinguish how you're using it. If you're using it so like kopitiam, I'm using kopitiam in a very generic manner that doesn't infringe the stylized kopitiam, the kopitiam with the design. Yeah, so that's different. So it really boils down to whether you're using it in a trademark manner.
Yeah, actually, is there a way to check trademark distinctiveness, like for every individual, or you just have to go through the trademark office?
Go through this, and to be honest, it's very subjective.
Yeah,
it's really, one examiner may think it's okay, another examiner doesn't think it is. So it can be frustrating, and then some clients get very, very annoyed. How come in the UK it's fine, and here in Singapore, like, these things happen, and you just have to be prepared for it, especially if you are dealing with those like what I call suggestive marks or descriptive marks. Yeah, so that's why I said, if you want to have no problems, come up with a logo, make it more distinctive. Even if your mark is borderline, you can make it more distinctive by adding a design to it, and that helps.
Yeah, I think someone is also asking, so if I can't register trademark as a word because it's too similar to another brand, can I register it as a logo, like as a design mark, I assume?
Not a straightforward answer. It may get through the IP office because maybe the IP office thinks the goods are slightly different, and comparing both, the one is plain word, one is word plus the device. It may get through the IP office, but it doesn't mean that the owner of the word mark won't come and file opposition. And it has happened in many cases. IP office accepted the stylized version or logo version, but the owner of the other mark gets really upset and files an opposition. So it's not a clear-cut answer for that. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe let us answer one last question regarding like trademark for you, and maybe I'll go through some Amazon, maybe 1 or 2 Amazon questions as well. So I think the last one would be, does trademark has an expiration date?
No, yes, it does, in the sense that your first registration is only valid for 10 years. It will have an expiration, so you have to renew before the deadline to get it extended another 10 years.
Okay, I think that's quite clear. Then maybe let me move on to some of the questions people have. So someone is asking, we have a local official importer of brand and the brand owner is Spanish and have registered on brand registry in Spain. Can we link up to their account? So on this, if you are an authorized reseller for, like, let's say US, you are able to reach out to the brand owner to get them to add you as a user or as an authorized reseller in their account, and you'll be able to get access to brand building tools. Yeah. And secondly, if I have a SG trademark, can I register in Amazon brand registry in Amazon.com in US? So yes, if you have a SG trademark, you can enroll into brand registry and use it for .com. Just that you'll not be protected. You'll only be able to get brand building tools such as A+ content or sponsored brands. Yeah. And I think lastly, so is there anywhere on Seller Central to see whether your brand has been approved or registered in brand registry? So there are two ways for you to know that. So firstly, you go to Seller Central and check the brand dashboard. Secondly, you can try logging into brandregistry.amazon.com. If you can do so, it will show like the enrolled brand or trademark that you have already enrolled in. Yeah, I think that pretty much answers most of the question. And I guess thank you everyone for attending. If you have any further question, just feel free to reach out to your account manager, reach out to Francine to ask about trademark. And yeah, thank you so much, Francine, for being here with us today. And thank you all the attendees. We'll be sending a follow-up email. And that's all. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone. Bye, Chen. Thank you.
Thank you.